Only if you're ready. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to Divine Enigma, a podcast that talks about how to navigate through the complexities of the workplace as a modern day professional, while simultaneously having a side hustle. We appreciate all of our audience members for taking some time out of their day to tune into another episode. I look forward to providing you all with some value through our show today. My name is Sarah, and I will be your host for this podcast. This podcast will be available on all platforms where you can find podcasts, including Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts, and we're also on YouTube. So let's get started. Hello, everybody. So I've been away for quite a while, and I really apologize to my members who are now listening to this. I haven't really planned this podcast as such, but I just wanted to reach out to you just to say that I haven't been as engaging as I would like with my audience members. And I just want to make sure that you guys know that I'm still here and I'm still thriving and doing well in all things. This podcast is on project management, working in the corporate world, and also being an entrepreneur. So that's having a side hustle. And I have been really like obsessing over trying to get validation for a membership platform, and been interviewing and speaking to people about this. I want to create this platform specifically for neurodiverse people who want to be in an environment where they can feel safe and they can talk to other neurodivergents about what they're going through and how it affects them in their everyday life. About 3 or 4 times I've tried to record this episode. I know my editor's onto me. The first time the quality was really bad, and I'm hoping this time around it's going to be much better. And I just thought, let me pick up the mic and just say that there were so many things I wanted to talk about on this episode. One was in relation to my Christian faith and my neurodiversity. Another part was about sort of building a business from the scratch and trying to create a community. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to kind of mix it up and I'm going to talk about a number of things. So if I look away from the camera, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will kind of talk about some of the things here that have truly affected me as a Christian with a neurodiversity. So right now, this is all on the whim. So hang on. So I'm going to do something. Okay, so I went into Google and I put down neurodiversity, faith, Bible, Christianity. And I found, and I don't think a lot of people cover this, because when you have a neurodiverse condition, and I know neurodiversity is a spectrum, people don't always kind of relate to it being positive and something that is a gift. So I'm just going to look for some scriptures whilst I'm here, just to make it like as clear. And it's kind of early in the morning. So let me just try and get it together. So okay, let's get it together. Right. So there's a particular scripture that is in Psalms and also in Genesis, but we're going to read the one from Psalms. So it says in Psalms 139, verse 14, it's like, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Now, a lot of people who may have dyslexia, autism, ADHD, and all these other factors, a lot of the time they feel like they don't fit into the world's concept or idea of what it is to be, the ideal person. And a lot of neurodivergent people sometimes are afraid to be themselves because sometimes within our own community, we can be quite discriminative, like we discriminate within ourselves. So sometimes you think, who do I turn to? Who do I go to? Like, who is the person that can truly understand me? Because although, like, and I'm talking from a scriptural perspective or biblical perspective, if you're not a Christian, you might not get this, or if you're even not a Christian, you might be intrigued by this. Sometimes we're trying to fit into this world that expects you to be like this, but you don't fit the narrative of what the world wants you to be. And one thing you have to understand is that, number one, I don't want to be this neurodivergent lady that comes on this podcast saying, oh, your neurodiversity is a superpower, neurodivergent people are amazing. And that being said, that's true. We are amazing. We have so many amazing traits, and it's a beautiful thing to be neurodivergent. But at the same time, we have to also face the reality that some people's neurodiversity is a stumbling block for them. Some neurodivergents, they can't stay in a job for more than a year or even a few weeks. Some neurodivergents can't express themselves in the way the world wants them to express themselves. And they feel really lost in where they are. And all I'm going to say to you guys is that I am with you. I'm with you. I understand what it's like not to feel that you fit in. And maybe I might not be going through what you're going through in the personal way, in terms of I can't speak due to my autism, or I can't express myself the way that the world wants me to express myself. I might not be going through that particular lived experience, but I understand the fear you can have when it comes to having to reveal yourself. Like, one of my biggest fears as a dyslexic is if we're ever doing group projects and I have to write on the board and everyone's watching me and I can't spell the words, that is an absolute nightmare for me. So I actually understand that not every neurodivergent person has a superpower in that sense. And it's okay. You can sit in that and be grateful in that, because I honestly, truly believe that even if it feels like you are not fitting in the pegs that the world, or the round holes that we have to fit the mold in the world, you can find your own pathway. And I think, and I'm not an expert on this, but I think that if you're determined enough and you get your mindset in the right way, the possibilities are endless, and it is possible for one to succeed in life as long as they're able to see past, their neurodiverse condition, and not allow for the world to define what they need to be. And that's why, like, when I refer to this particular scripture as a Christian, Psalms 139, verse 14, you have to understand that when God created you, he didn't create you with a mistake in mind. He created you for a purpose. And so not everyone in the world can be perfect. And sometimes it's hard because it does take a level of faith to push yourself through that. Like right now, I'm going through the process of building a business. I know I'm very good at running the business. If you put me in a business, give me time to get my head around it, I can run that business very well and nurture it and operate it in a way that people will feel valued in that business. But starting a business from the ground up is such a challenge because you're trying to figure out what the business can be for people. You're trying to find a way to ensure that the business is a validating business. You're trying to make sure that people are going to get the most out of it so that you can create something for them to truly thrive. And sometimes it's hard because you're going to be like knocked with a lot of like um like not hit back. I was going to say hit back, but you're going to be faced with a lot of blockers and resistance, from people that might say this is not going to work, this doesn't make sense, and sometimes you have to shut that out and just understand that what you're doing is helping people. Sometimes I have to ask myself, I was like, am I doing the right thing by like investing so much of my time and money into something that I believe will help people? And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? But I have to like be steadfast and just keep praying, which I do every day, to find solutions to the problems that the world has. I believe that as long as we are alive and as long as we're able to, we need to be mission seekers and problem solvers. And I believe as a dyslexic woman, I'm a true problem solver. And I look at things where people might not see there's any like end to it, but then I'll be like, do you know what? I think we can find a solution to that. So I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but I thought I'll just talk about like my faith around neurodiversity. Another scripture that also came to my mind, because I did a Christianity like episode, but I'm going to do another scripture. And the other scripture is Jeremiah 1:5. And it says here, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. So this is a very important scripture for me because the way that I view it, and obviously you need to read the whole of Jeremiah, God already knew what he was going to do with you before you were born. So it's not an accident that you might be born with dyslexia or ADHD or autism or whatever that the case would be. He knew that this is how you were going to be. So I believe that it's down to you to try your hardest to navigate the world with the condition you are. It might sound really harsh. It might sound really like, oh, but you have to kind of figure out, okay, I was born with this condition. I was born with a neurodiversity. How can I, how can I navigate the world with this neurodiversity? And it comes to the point of being somebody that can problem solve and look at something and find a solution to it, rather than looking at it as something that you can't resolve. My late father used to always say to me that there's always a solution to every problem. And if the solution isn't present, leave it, because the solution will eventually come. Give yourself time to rest, because sometimes when you over obsess over solutions, you'll start feeling like, oh, it seems impossible. But every day, like if you put a bit of effort in what you do, that issue or problem that you're having will therefore have a solution to the problem that you're trying to resolve. I know there's a problem with neurodiversity. I remember, I've got a story to tell you actually. One of my old friends from work, my old jobs, I mentioned in probably one of my episodes, I was working in a very toxic work environment, and I left that environment to go into the world of project management. And now I'm moving into the world of entrepreneurship. And she told me there was a particular lady who was working on the team. And she's actually quite good at her job. She's actually quite a friendly young lady. But for whatever reason, and I know the reason, but I'll explain in more detail. She just wasn't able to focus on her job. The job that I did was that we had a list of contacts that we had to call in regards to debt management, and they owed money, and we had to go through that list of contacts and call them and find out why they haven't paid their rent, because I would work in the rent department in that organization. And working with people, working in a sector where you're dealing with money and dealing with debt is a very awkward situation, because I've had a lived experience of being in debt. I've had a lived experience of not having much. I've had a lived experience of seeing bailiffs knocking on the door when I was younger to tell me that you can't live here anymore unless you pay the mortgage. And I've seen that as, when growing up. So I know what it is like to have a scarcity in your life and to be struggling. So sometimes even when I was doing that job, I felt a sense of uncomfortability, because I knew a lot of these people, they didn't want to be in that situation, but the way the world was created is that they're in a situation where they can't afford to pay their rent. And sometimes I would look at the company that I was working with, they had the stock. They had stock levels of over billions of pounds. And if they wanted to, they could just clear the debt of all these tenants. But it's like there was the obsession of pressing people down when they were already down. And I know obviously in life we have to learn to be good stewards of our finances and managing our like the money that we have, we receive from our jobs, or wherever your source of income is coming from. You need to be a good steward of it. But I just felt this sense of uncomfortability doing this job. Anyway, going back to the story, one of my old colleagues had told me that this girl had, confided in her line manager that she had ADHD. And sometimes because of her ADHD, she couldn't focus. She couldn't focus on her job. And sometimes she wouldn't be able to get, all the numbers of contacts completed, because like her neurodiverse condition just prevented her from doing that. So they demoted her at work. And then eventually, because of the pressure of not being able to perform to the level that was requested of her, they eventually managed her out. And I felt like, wow, like they could have just made, adjustments for her, maybe given her extra time to go through her that list of contacts. Because ADHD, works very differently in each person. Some people, due to their ADHD, they go into this procrastination mode, and they'll go to the point where they can't get any work done. Or some people with ADHD, they just can't sit on a job for a long period of time. So I just felt like in this day and age, when we have the internet, we have neurodiversity networks, are people being still discriminated against their neurodiverse condition and being managed out of their jobs? And I think it's just important as an employer that not everyone learns the same. And I think it's important that we also understand that, like, you need to see the value in the people that are working for you. They may work slightly different, or they may have a different style in how they work, but we need to, like, as a society in general, be accepting of people from all backgrounds, and just understand that they may not be versed in the way that you do things, but it's important to understand that just because you're good at doing something a certain way doesn't mean that the way they're doing it is wrong. It's just different. And I just feel like we just live in a very neurophobic world, or we don't like people that don't operate in the way that they should. And we need to be accepting of all people from all backgrounds and creeds and housing. You don't necessarily have to agree with their lifestyle or agree with what they do. But if someone is disabled and ADHD is a disability, then an adjustment should be made as an employer. So that was one like scenario. So it just made me think that, I was just thinking to myself, thank goodness that I'm not there and I'm in a better place. And I work for an employer now that actually is quite understanding about my neurodiverse condition and actually supports me through that process to enable me to be a better project manager. Because your difference is not, it shouldn't be a barrier to you succeeding. It should anything be something that you can use to elevate yourself, and actually bring, I guess, a sense of beauty and interest in the workplace. Because we don't all want to be the same. Like, I feel like we need to get to this revolutionary point in the world that we just need to stop having the same people in leadership and the same faces all the time. We need to see different faces. We need to see a difference in terms of looking at things from a different perspective, not just one way. If I had my way, and it might be controversial to some, I would just love to live in a world that is non-capitalist, where the pursuit of money isn't just a thing that people chase for, but the pursuit of joy and happiness. That would be my ideal sort of world to live in. And that not everybody wants a Ferrari or to live in a house that's got 6 bedrooms in it or 100 bedrooms. Some people are happy to live in like a small, farm and be around nature, and have peace in that. Not everybody wants to, be driving a sports car or living up to the Joneses. Or, I don't even know who the Joneses is. This is something that's very 1990s. But that would be something that I would love to see, because I don't believe everyone has the same goals or interests. And I think we could live in a world that's full of joy, that we can get to enjoy this planet however we want to. That would be my dream. But at the moment, we live in a very much capitalist society where money is the driving force behind every decision that happens in the world. It's never about joy, but unfortunately, money is the key thing in life. It's not unfortunate, it's fortunate and unfortunate, because we need money to survive. We need money to build businesses, and, we need money to look after our families and things like that. But I just wish that money wasn't the driving force of what this world was about. And it was based on how people were feeling and joy. And I think when the pandemic happened in 2020, 2021, I think everyone was forced to slow down and actually reevaluate how important all this chasing is. So, I honestly believe that that would be something ideal for me anyway. This podcast episode was very random. I didn't really plan exactly what I wanted to say, but I thought I'd just give a little story. I thought I'll talk about my Christian faith. I thought I'd talk about some opinions I have. And I'll also tell you about my membership platform that is coming soon. So, yes, I just wanted to do a quick episode for those who wanted to hear my voice again. Okay, have a lovely day, everyone. I want to let our audience members know that I'm still offering a 6-week coaching program for those who are neurodivergent, but you can also be neurotypical and go on it, who want to improve their career prospects in general, or those who just want to get into project management. I'm also offering a 1-hour free session. So if you want to get a bit of a taster of it, if you go to my website, actually at the moment, my website is currently a landing page, because at Divine Enigma, we're currently rebranding. So I've done some of my rebranding on my Instagram, and some of my social media and most things at the moment. But there's going to be a total whole rebrand of the Divine Enigma umbrella, and so if you go to the website, you might not get access to the program. But if you email me at hello@diviningegma.org and you want to book in a 1 hour session, you can do. I will get back to you with my Canali appointment. Now, I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I want to make time to offer it up again for those looking, to improve those areas in your life, to get the technical skills you need, particularly if you want to pass the Prince 2 practitioner exam or any exam, because I've taken exams, particularly this one, and failed many times. And I just want to give you a few techniques that you can use as a dyslexic or a person with ADHD to overcome these things that you are facing. So if it sounds like something that you're interested in or you'd like to learn more, please reach out to me directly. You can go to my Instagram, DM me at diviningegma. I think it's also diviningegma on YouTube as well. So you can reach out to me however way you want to. So finally, I just want you to follow me on all platforms where you listen to podcasts. Thank you for listening to Divine Enigma. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube as well. And again, if you got to the end, this is a safe place for project managers and professionals to give you tools and tips on how to navigate the complexity of being neurodiverse in the workplace. I'll see you soon. I'd also like to apologize to my listeners, my voice. At the moment, I might have mentioned this maybe on a few episodes back, that I have a neighbor who's consistently smoking. I have like 2 air purifiers in my house, but the smoke still comes in. It affects my throat. So I like you guys just to put out a prayer for me. If you're a Christian, or if you're not, just pray for me that I can get a much bigger and nicer place, because right now I do not like where I live. And eventually, as my family begins to expand and grow by the grace of God, I'll need a much bigger place. So just pray that I get a much nicer place and a much bigger studio. And actually, I'm thinking so much bigger now, because I really want this platform to really flourish and grow, that when people are looking for things around neurodiversity, my name, Sarah, is going to come up. Sarah Olifa, or Sarah Olifa Gofin Dodo. So that we really, really, really just put it out there that that neurodiversity is not something to hide, it's something to be proud of. So so I'll catch you on the next episode. I'll try and put them out as regular as I can. And thank you so much for your time. Take care. Bye.